Welcome to DidsChat. So today I'm going to be talking about my gaming history. So as I've said before, I have a list of topics and questions that people have asked me before from different moments, just randomly, and just stuff that people have asked me whenever I wanted to do something like this, asking questions about what people will want me to talk about for different projects. But now we're taking it a little bit more seriously. Anyways, we're talking about my gaming history. I feel that would be a little too broad of a video to be like specific about it. So we're just gonna go through like consoles and games that really stayed with me throughout those consoles. That sounds like a good one, right? Right? Yeah, let's go. So the first console I ever played was the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. And the first game, or not the first game, I think the first game I played was... It was either Super Mario... Not Super Mario. Super Mario was on Super Nintendo? Mario Bros? Mario Bros or... something or other, kind of like a beat 'em up arcade. But no, okay, let's go with my favorites. Favorite game I ever played on the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, was Star Tropics. If you don't know what Star Tropics was, it was, as far as I can remember, the first ever RPG game I ever played. It's more of a adventure game with light RPG just aspects. It feels a lot more like Zelda than a classic RPG, because you have this overworld, but then you'd go into like the dungeon areas. Your dude would eat like 15 Mario mushrooms, grow like 200 pixels, and then you're just in this dungeon where you'd start off with, they called it a star, but it was basically a yo-yo. So you just whacked shit with a yo-yo. Fun game. It had a really fun story. I remember enjoying the gameplay a hell of a lot. I remember moving square by square in the dungeons. I don't remember if the enemies moved when you move, or if they just moved like every couple of seconds or whatever, or every second. So yeah, that's the game I remember having the most fun with on the NES, and just a game that stayed with me for ever. I would wish to be able to play that game now, but I don't have my NES. I do still think I have my copy of Star Tropics in Puerto Rico, but I'm not too sure. But I don't have my NES anymore. So the second console I ever played after the NES obviously had to be the SNES. And if you know me, if you know anything about me, you know exactly what I'm going to say was my favorite game that I ever played on the SNES. Illusion of Gaia. What? Yes, Illusion of Gaia. Now, I know a lot of people that probably have known me for a while would expect me to say Chrono Trigger, but Chrono Trigger to me is probably my favorite game of all time, and I feel that would be a little too expected of me. So I kind of want to switch it up with like other games that I've played on the SNES. And Illusion of Gaia is one of those games that just, like Star Tropics, is one of those games that I enjoyed so much, and I just want to go back to play over and over again. I just have so many good memories with that game, and just being amazed at the things it could do, where suddenly you'll be with like a god in a different dimension. He'd turn your character into like an ancient warrior or something like that, or turn into like a bunch of different characters. And it was just amazing. Like, my kid brain could not handle it. And again, it is like one of these like Zelda-style adventure RPG games. It was just fun, and the way it built its world and made it understandable, it was amazing. Now, if I wanted to go for a more RPG experience, Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, damn. Yeah. And then from the SNES, we go to the Nintendo 64. Yes, I did skip over the initial release of the PlayStation. I was a kid. My parents were buying shit for me. I didn't care as long as I had my games. But on the Nintendo 64, my favorite game that I ever played on there that I will never forget, that I always did enjoy, was Donkey Kong 64. Banana Slammer! So Donkey Kong 64, I mean, again, N64 was basically the platform for platformers. That was what Donkey Kong 64 was. Basically gameplay like Super Mario 64, like Banjo-Kazooie. And yeah, it was just plain ass fun. I just enjoyed that game, played it over again and again, and the way the boss fights were built. It was just really, really fun. I enjoyed that game a hell a lot. I played that game for years and years and years. And between those years, I went to a friend's house and they had a PlayStation, which I do believe released a year earlier than the Nintendo 64. And I played Final Fantasy VII at their house. And then I cried and begged my mom for a PlayStation. And I remember sitting in my room, no memory card, and the one game I would no save again and again and again and again and again, making it the PlayStation game that I know as well as the back of my hand. And probably the game I most enjoyed on the console, Ape Escape. Now, Ape Escape was this cute little game where you would like catch monkeys with a net and shit, but then you would get like these bunch of new items with abilities. You could propel yourself to a higher thing. You could get a raft. You could get it like a saber. It was just shit that was just fun. It was fun. It had like a bunch of different mini games. You had like your own rival that got mind controlled, and you would do races and shit. And it was awesome. I enjoyed that game so much. It was, oh my god. Now, for the next one, I remember being in line at Babage's, whatever you want to call it. It was a store in Puerto Rico. I imagine it had more stores around the world. It closed down at some point. But I remember being in that line to get a Sega Dreamcast. And my dad calling my mom, because I didn't have a cell phone at the time. I was like 8 or 9 years old, or maybe 10. And dad being like, "Hey, did you get that Dreamcast yet?" And I'm like, "No." And he's like, don't buy one. Just wait till you come to Texas." And I'm like, "Why?" It's like, "Just wait till you come to Texas. I'll save your mom some money." I'm like, okay. So I think that was about a few weeks before a trip over to Texas, with my mom and my brother to visit my dad. And when I arrived, it was for Christmas. I remember it being for Christmas. I do believe Christmas 2000, or maybe Christmas 2001. And just hanging out around there, I brought my Nintendo 64 with Donkey Kong, and I would be playing the crap out of that game. And I remember one morning, on Christmas morning, there was this tiny ass, like maybe like this big. I can't see my second finger. Maybe like this big, yeah, like that. Little tiny ass tree below the TV. Or like in front of the TV, like on the table where the TV was set, in front of that TV. And below that was this console I had never fucking heard about. And it was a PlayStation 2. Now I had a lot of fucking amazing experiences with the PlayStation 2. But the game that just grabbed me, the first game I ever played on the PlayStation 2, Kingdom Hearts. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. Kingdom Hearts went on to become one of my favorite series of all time. Me getting consoles specifically just to play the releases on those. And I just freaking love Kingdom Hearts so much. I have to admit it. It's just, every game has just been super fun. And yeah, I'll go back to it and I'll make fun of it. And some people will say during streams, someone pointed it out, a Brendo, that while I was playing Kingdom Hearts 1, he noticed that the way I rest during cutscenes sometimes on live streams is the same way Sora just like chillaxes, which is the putting the hands behind the head and just chilling right there like this. Yeah, I do this a lot apparently, and he noticed during the game that it's the exact same one. So maybe I got it from that, maybe I just do it naturally, who knows. So the next one after that, I played with the PlayStation 2 for the longest time. And then I had an Xbox 360. I don't even want to talk about this one. But the game I played the most on the Xbox 360 was Call of Duty Black Ops. Yeah, unless you want me to talk about Viva Pinata. No? Okay. No? Alright, let's keep going. So, Call of Duty Black Ops, not the multiplayer. I remember for like an entire summer vacation, every day, just playing Zombies mode. Kino der Toten was my shit. And then the Red Ring of Death happened. And then I went to get it fixed. And a couple of weeks later, another Red Ring of Death. And then I went to get it fixed again. And then another week later, another Red Ring of Death. I had my Xbox fixed 5 times, and that's 6 red rings of death. I'm done with that. I'm going back to playing my PlayStation 2 and some beautiful Kingdom Hearts, or just hooking up my N64 to play Donkey Kong. Ah! And then after years and years and years, after the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One being released, I think maybe 2 years after, no, maybe a year. Let's say a year or so, maybe more. Yeah, probably more after it was released. My uncle gave me his PlayStation 3 because he got the Xbox One. So he wasn't using the PlayStation 3 anymore. So he just gave it to me. And the game I played the most on that console. So after going into the drawer and checking all the games I have, the game I enjoyed the most was Dark Souls. And then I came to Texas and got a PS4. And now we're seeing what I enjoy over here. So yeah, that would be my gaming history. So that is I don't think I mentioned a handheld, so that would be excluding handhelds. I feel like handhelds by itself would be an entirely different experience, because I have participated in handhelds since the Game Boy Black and White. So yeah. So thank you guys so much for hearing me out. Thanks for hanging out with me throughout this Dids chat. If you have any questions or topics that you would like me to answer or talk about, you can leave them down in the comments below. You could ask them to me on Twitter, just tag me directly. Or you could go to the Discord server and leave them in the Dids chat topic section if you are part of the Discord server. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I will see you in the next one. And as always, don't forget to like and subscribe. And nerd out. Hey Dids, what you sipping on? Is that coffee? No, it's tea. It's tea. I'm drinking tea, bitches. Meow 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 meow. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. Meow 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 meow.